Most people are told to rely on whey protein powders if they want to build muscle or prevent muscle loss. But here's the shocking truth. You don't need whey protein to fight sarcopenia, the age-related muscle decline that robs people of their strength, independence, and vitality. There's one natural food that works even better. It doesn't just fuel your muscles, it actually supports the repair, recovery, and regeneration of lean tissue while keeping your hormones and metabolism in balance. This food has been consumed for centuries, long before protein powders existed, and science now proves it's one of the most bioavailable protein sources on Earth. It gives your body all the essential amino acids in the exact ratios your muscles crave. If you're serious about building muscle, maintaining strength, and fighting back against aging, forget the powders, forget the processed shakes. This whole, nutrient-dense food is what your body is designed to thrive on. The superiority of this food comes down to its amino acid profile, which is the most fundamental factor in determining how effectively protein translates into muscle tissue. When most people hear the word protein, they think of it as a single nutrient, but in reality, protein is made up of smaller building blocks called amino acids. Out of the 20 amino acids our bodies use, 9 are considered essential, meaning they cannot be manufactured internally and must be supplied through diet. Now, here's where things get interesting. Not all protein sources contain these amino acids in the right proportions or in forms that the body can absorb efficiently. Many plant proteins, for example, are incomplete or low in certain essential amino acids, forcing the body to work harder and often leaving muscle protein synthesis suboptimal. Whey protein does contain the essentials, but it's processed, often denatured by heat, and many people experience digestive discomfort, bloating, or even intolerance when consuming it. In contrast, the food we are talking about, real, whole, nutrient-dense food like pasture, raised eggs, grass-fed beef, or organ meats, provides these amino acids in their most natural and bioavailable state, making them highly absorbable and perfectly suited for muscle repair and growth. The body doesn't just need protein, it needs leucine, isoleucine, valine, lysine, and all the other essential amino acids to trigger something called muscle protein synthesis. Leucine in particular is the anabolic switch, the trigger that signals your body to begin building and repairing muscle fibers after stress, training, or even day-to-day wear and tear. If you don't get enough leucine in your diet, your muscles cannot grow, no matter how much total protein you consume. That's why older adults often struggle with sarcopenia. Their diets lack high-quality protein sources rich in leucine, leading to diminished signaling for muscle growth. The food I'm highlighting is naturally high in leucine and provides it in the right balance with the other amino acids, meaning it can activate this process more effectively than powders or plant-based alternatives. Another critical factor is digestibility. When protein enters the digestive tract, it must be broken down into individual amino acids before the body can use it. If digestion is impaired, or if the protein source is poorly absorbed, much of that protein simply passes through the system unused. Whey protein, although marketed as fast digesting, can overwhelm the gut, leading to bloating, gas, and malabsorption in many individuals. The very processing that makes it soluble and convenient can also strip away cofactors that aid digestion and assimilation. By contrast, whole foods provide not only protein, but also enzymes, fats, and micronutrients that aid in the breakdown and transport of amino acids into the bloodstream. When amino acids enter circulation steadily and in the right ratios, the body can efficiently direct them toward rebuilding muscle fibers, producing enzymes, and supporting countless other processes that rely on protein. The biological value of a protein source is a measure of how efficiently the body can use it. Eggs, for example, have one of the highest biological values of any food, meaning nearly every gram of protein is used for growth and repair. This is not the case with whey protein, which can have high nitrogen content, but doesn't always translate into usable amino acids in the same efficient way. Similarly, animal proteins like grass-fed beef provide not just complete amino acid profiles, but also connective tissue components like glycine and proline, which support joint health and recovery in ways whey cannot. These amino acids are crucial as we age because muscle strength is only one part of mobility. The resilience of tendons, ligaments, and joints plays an equally important role. Consider also the hormonal response. When amino acids flood the bloodstream in a balanced way, insulin sensitivity improves, anabolic pathways are stimulated, and cortisol is better managed. In plain terms, that means the body is in a better position to build muscle rather than break it down. Whey protein can cause a rapid spike in insulin, followed by a crash, which is not ideal for sustained anabolic activity. Whole food protein, on the other hand, provides a more stable release of amino acids, sustaining muscle protein synthesis over a longer period of time. This not only prevents muscle loss, but also gives the body more time to repair, which is critical for older adults battling sarcopenia. There's also the issue of synergy. Nature doesn't design nutrients in isolation. The amino acids in whole foods come packaged with vitamins, minerals, and cofactors that work together to maximize their impact. For example, the vitamin B12 in animal foods enhances the body's ability to use protein effectively by supporting red blood cell production and oxygen delivery to muscles. Iron, also abundant in high-quality animal proteins, ensures proper oxygen transport and energy metabolism, which directly influences how well muscles perform and recover. Zinc plays a role in testosterone production, a hormone that is vital for muscle maintenance and growth. These elements are simply not present in a scoop of whey protein powder, and no amount of fortification can replicate the natural synergy found in real food. Another point to understand is the concept of satiety and sustainability. People often rely on protein powders because they are quick and convenient, but these powders rarely satisfy hunger for long. They lack the fats and micronutrients that signal fullness to the brain. Whole food proteins, however, are naturally paired with these components, creating meals that not only build muscle, but also keep you satisfied, preventing overeating and stabilizing blood sugar. This is especially important for those who are aging and may struggle with appetite. By choosing nutrient-dense protein foods, they can ensure that every bite counts toward maintaining strength, energy, and independence. Over time, relying on inferior protein sources like whey can even contribute to nutrient deficiencies, gut imbalances, and a false sense of nutritional security. You might think you're getting all you need by hitting a certain number of grams on a nutrition label, but the reality is that grams of protein don't tell the full story. The amino acid profile, the digestibility, the biological value, and the synergy with other nutrients all matter more. That is why the superior amino acid profile of whole food proteins is so powerful. It gives your body not just numbers on a label, but the precise building blocks it can actually use to fight sarcopenia and build lasting muscle. Ultimately, what matters is function. Do you want a quick shake that may give you a temporary protein boost? Or do you want to supply your body with the exact raw materials it needs to regenerate tissue, maintain strength, and thrive well into old age? The choice is simple when you understand the science. The superior amino acid profile of whole food protein is nature's original formula for muscle growth and maintenance. and no processed powder can match its effectiveness. By prioritizing foods rich in bioavailable amino acids, you give yourself the best possible defense against muscle decline, and you build a body that isn't just surviving, but strong, capable, and resilient at every stage of life. What makes this food so extraordinary for building muscle and stopping sarcopenia is not just its protein content, but the rich array of anabolic nutrients that come with it. Protein on its own is important, but muscle growth requires far more than amino acids alone. Your body is a complex system that relies on cofactors, enzymes, and hormones to make protein work efficiently, and that is where these anabolic nutrients play a powerful role. Every single time you eat, you are not only fueling your muscles with amino acids, you are also signaling your body with vitamins and minerals that either switch on or switch off the processes of repair, growth, and recovery. This is the reason why whole food protein sources outperform powders. They bring with them a nutrient matrix that ignites muscle building pathways in ways no isolated protein source ever could. Consider the role of iron, a nutrient abundant in certain high-quality animal foods. Iron is a key component of hemoglobin, the molecule that carries oxygen through your blood. Without sufficient oxygen delivery, your muscles fatigue quickly, recovery is slowed, and protein synthesis is impaired. Oxygen is essential for cellular energy production, and the rebuilding of muscle tissue is one of the most energy-demanding processes in the body. This means that if iron is lacking, it doesn't matter how much protein you consume. Your muscles won't have the raw energy to repair themselves. On the other hand, when you eat nutrient-rich foods loaded with bioavailable iron, you set your muscles up for faster recovery, more energy during training, and greater endurance, which all feed back into preserving and building lean tissue. Another critical anabolic nutrient is zinc. Zinc is a cofactor for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, many of which directly relate to protein metabolism, tissue repair, and hormone regulation. One of zinc's most powerful effects is its role in testosterone production. Testosterone is a hormone that declines steadily with age, and low levels are directly tied to sarcopenia, weakness, and frailty. No matter how much protein you eat, if your anabolic hormones are suppressed, your ability to build muscle will be limited. Whole food proteins that are rich in zinc naturally support hormone health, giving your body the internal environment it needs to actually put dietary protein to work. This makes the difference between simply eating protein and actually using it to construct strong, functional muscle tissue. Vitamin B12 is another example. This vitamin is found almost exclusively in animal proteins, and it is essential for red blood cell production, nervous system health, and DNA synthesis. Without adequate B12, energy levels plummet, nerve function declines, and muscle performance suffers. Sarcopenia is not only a problem of shrinking muscle fibers, but also a problem of impaired communication between nerves and muscles. That's why many people experiencing muscle loss also notice weakness, clumsiness, and poor coordination. By consuming foods high in B12, you're ensuring that nerve signals remain strong and that muscles can respond quickly and powerfully when called upon. This alone can dramatically reduce the risk of falls, injuries, and the spiral of decline that often follows in older age. The synergy of these nutrients is what makes them so powerful. When protein is consumed in isolation, as with whey powders, you are only giving your body amino acids without the cofactors needed to activate them. It's like delivering building materials to a construction site, but forgetting to bring the tools and workers to assemble them. Whole foods provide both the bricks and the tools in the same package. The iron delivers oxygen to fuel the work. The zinc switches on hormones and enzymes that orchestrate repair, and the B vitamins provide the energy and neurological support to make everything run smoothly. Together, these anabolic nutrients transform dietary protein into living muscle tissue with a level of efficiency that powders cannot match. It's also important to understand how inflammation interferes with muscle building and how these nutrients combat it. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the main drivers of sarcopenia. When inflammation is high, anabolic signaling is blunted, meaning your body can't use protein efficiently to build muscle. Whole food proteins are naturally packaged with anti-inflammatory compounds like omega-3 fatty acids, conjugated linoleic acid, and antioxidants that cool down inflammation, allowing protein metabolism to occur at full capacity. For example, grass-fed beef and wild-caught fish not only provide protein but also deliver omega-3s that reduce inflammatory cytokines. By lowering inflammation, they clear the roadblocks that stop muscles from regenerating. Whey protein powders, on the other hand, often contain additives, artificial sweeteners, and residues that can trigger digestive inflammation, adding another barrier to efficient muscle repair. Magnesium is another overlooked anabolic nutrient. It plays a vital role in muscle contraction, energy production, and protein synthesis. Without enough magnesium, muscles cramp, recovery slows, and anabolic pathways stall. Whole foods rich in magnesium provide this mineral in the natural balance the body recognizes and can absorb effectively. When combined with amino acids, magnesium ensures that muscle fibers can contract powerfully during exercise and then relax and repair afterward. It is this rhythm of stress and recovery that builds resilient muscle, and magnesium is at the center of it. The hormonal picture goes even deeper. Many whole food proteins contain cholesterol, which modern diets often demonize, but which is actually the raw material from which testosterone, estrogen, and cortisol are made. Without adequate dietary cholesterol, hormone production declines and anabolic signals weaken. This doesn't mean loading up on processed fats, but rather consuming nutrient-rich sources like eggs and organ meats that supply cholesterol in a natural, balanced form alongside the amino acids and cofactors that direct its use. These foods help maintain a strong hormonal foundation, which is especially critical for those past middle age who are at risk of rapid muscle decline. We also have to look at creatine, a compound found naturally in certain animal proteins. Creatine is one of the most studied ergogenic aids in the world, known for its ability to boost strength, power, and muscle mass. While many people take it as a supplement, the body actually receives it directly from whole food proteins like red meat. Creatine works by rapidly regenerating ATP, the primary energy currency of the cell, during intense muscular effort. By eating foods naturally rich in creatine, you're giving your muscles a constant supply of this powerful molecule, without the need for synthetic powders. This translates into stronger training sessions, better recovery, and greater protection against sarcopenia. The combination of these anabolic nutrients creates a kind of nutritional orchestra. Every element plays its part. Iron brings oxygen, zinc activates hormones, B12 powers the nervous system, magnesium coordinates contractions, cholesterol supports hormone synthesis, and creatine fuels the explosive energy your muscles need. When you consume whole food proteins, you are feeding this orchestra in perfect harmony, allowing it to play the song of muscle growth and maintenance. Whey protein, stripped of these natural cofactors, is like trying to play music with only one instrument. It may make some noise, but it will never have the depth, complexity, and power of the full orchestra. This is why people who prioritize nutrient-rich whole food proteins don't just build muscle more effectively, they also feel stronger, more energized, and more resilient overall. Their bodies are not just receiving protein, but also the hidden nutrients that unlock its full potential. This is the real key to fighting sarcopenia, not chasing grams of protein on a label, but ensuring that every gram you consume is paired with the vitamins, minerals, and compounds that turn protein into power. When you give your body this complete package, you're not just eating, you're activating. You're switching on every system needed to maintain strength, independence, and vitality throughout life. That is the true power of anabolic nutrients, and that is why this food leaves whey protein behind. Sarcopenia is one of the most devastating changes that happens with aging, but most people don't realize that it isn't simply about getting less protein in the diet. The real problem goes much deeper. Sarcopenia develops because the body becomes less efficient at using protein, hormones decline and lose their anabolic influence, and chronic low-level inflammation interferes with muscle repair. This triple threat slowly erodes muscle mass and strength, leaving people weaker, frailer, and more vulnerable to disease and disability. The reason this particular food is so powerful is because it addresses all three of these root causes at once. It doesn't just supply amino acids, it makes sure the body actually uses them effectively. It supports the hormonal environment that drives muscle growth, and it actively reduces the inflammation that blocks muscle regeneration. This is why it is far superior to whey protein powders or incomplete plant proteins. It works on the root mechanisms, not just the surface numbers of protein intake. The first factor is protein utilization. As people age, the body becomes resistant to the signals of amino acids, a phenomenon sometimes called anabolic resistance. That means even if an older adult eats the same amount of protein they did in their younger years, their body doesn't respond as strongly, and the process of muscle protein synthesis is muted. To overcome this, you need protein sources that are rich in leucine and other essential amino acids in highly bioavailable forms. The food in question is packed with these amino acids in the exact ratios needed to flip the anabolic switch. More importantly, it provides them in a natural context paired with enzymes and cofactors that make digestion and absorption efficient. This ensures that every gram of protein consumed is maximized, bypassing the anabolic resistance that plagues older individuals. By delivering amino acids in a form the body can use without strain, this food makes sure that protein intake is not wasted, but is instead transformed into new muscle tissue. The second factor is the hormonal environment. Muscle growth is not just a matter of having amino acids present. It requires the right hormonal signals to direct those amino acids toward muscle fibers rather than toward energy or storage. Testosterone, growth hormone, and insulin, like growth factor, are some of the most important anabolic hormones, and their decline with age is one of the main drivers of sarcopenia. This food naturally supports hormonal balance. It provides zinc, cholesterol, and other nutrients that form the raw materials for hormone production. It helps keep testosterone at healthier levels, supports thyroid function, and provides the cofactors for growth hormone release. Instead of working against the grain of aging biology, it works with the body to restore the hormonal signals that keep muscle metabolism active. When combined with resistance exercise, these nutrients magnify the body's ability to respond to training, creating a synergy between diet and activity that is essential for fighting sarcopenia. The third factor is inflammation. Chronic inflammation is like rust on a machine. It slowly wears down the body's ability to function. In muscles, inflammation blunts anabolic signaling, interferes with recovery, and accelerates breakdown. That's why older adults can eat protein and still lose muscle. The inflammatory environment blocks the normal rebuilding process. The food in question carries natural anti-inflammatory inflammatory compounds that help quiet this process. Omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and conjugated linoleic acid are some of the nutrients it provides, and all of them reduce the inflammatory cytokines that would otherwise impair muscle regeneration. By lowering inflammation, it clears the roadblocks that stop amino acids and hormones from doing their jobs. This is crucial because without controlling inflammation, no amount of protein or exercise will fully reverse muscle loss. To see how powerful this three-pronged approach is, imagine two people in their 70s. Both eat similar amounts of protein each day. One relies on processed powders and protein shakes, while the other builds their diet around this nutrient-dense food. The first person's body absorbs some amino acids, but anabolic resistance and chronic inflammation block much of the benefit. Hormones are too low to direct the amino acids to muscle, so they end up burned for energy or stored as fat. Sarcopenia progresses even though they think they are getting enough protein. The second person, however, gets not just protein, but the cofactors that enhance absorption, the nutrients that boost hormones, and the compounds that reduce inflammation. For them, each meal turns into a powerful anabolic signal, and their body uses protein efficiently to maintain muscle mass. Over time, the difference becomes visible. One person grows weaker and frailer, while the other maintains strength, posture, and vitality. This is why the focus cannot simply be on total protein grams. Numbers on a nutrition label do not determine whether sarcopenia is reversed. What matters is whether the body can truly utilize the protein. This food has been proven over generations of human history to sustain strength and vitality. Long before protein powders were invented, warriors, farmers, athletes, and laborers all built and maintained muscle on whole foods, not supplements, because whole foods provided not just amino acids, but also the conditions needed for those amino acids to work. The modern obsession with powders is a distraction from the deeper truth. If you want to kill sarcopenia, you must fix the root problems, not just chase macronutrient numbers. Another aspect worth noting is the role of the gut. Inflammation is not only systemic, but often originates in the digestive tract. Many people suffer from gut irritation, leaky gut, or food sensitivities that worsen with age. Whey protein and other processed powders often contribute to this irritation, keeping inflammation levels high and preventing efficient nutrient absorption. Whole food proteins, however, are easier for the body to recognize and process. They come in their natural form, often with fats and enzymes that protect the gut lining and support microbiome balance. A healthier gut means better absorption of protein and minerals, less systemic inflammation, and more efficient delivery of nutrients to muscle tissue. In this way, the gut and the muscles are intimately linked, and this food strengthens both simultaneously. It's also important to highlight that sarcopenia doesn't just affect physical appearance. It affects independence, mobility, and longevity. Loss of muscle mass makes simple tasks harder, increases the risk of falls, and accelerates the decline into frailty. Preventing or reversing it is not just about looking stronger, it is about preserving quality of life. By choosing a food that enhances protein utilization, restores hormonal support, and fights inflammation, you are not just feeding your muscles, you are investing in your future independence. This is why every bite matters more as you age, and why high-quality whole food proteins must replace reliance on powders that only give a fraction of the benefit. In summary, sarcopenia is driven by three underlying problems: poor utilization of protein, low anabolic hormones, and chronic inflammation. This food directly addresses all three, making it uniquely powerful in the fight against muscle loss. It ensures that amino acids are absorbed and used. It restores the hormonal environment needed for growth and it lowers the inflammation that blocks recovery. No powder can match this multi-faceted approach because powders are stripped of the natural cofactors that make protein work in the body. If you truly want to stop sarcopenia, you need to go back to the nutrient-dense, whole food sources that nature designed for strength and vitality. Forget the quick fixes and empty marketing promises. Real food is the real solution, and it has been all along. For thousands of years, before laboratories began producing powders and supplements, human beings relied on whole foods to build strength, endure physical challenges, and maintain vitality. Farmers working from sunrise to sunset, soldiers marching for days, and athletes competing at their peak did not have access to whey protein powders, shakes, or processed supplements. What they had were foods provided directly by nature, dense in nutrients, and perfectly designed for human physiology. This historical perspective reveals something important. The body thrives not on isolated fractions of nutrition, but on complete packages where protein, fats, vitamins, and minerals exist together in their natural ratios. These foods are not just adequate, they are optimal. They have stood the test of time, consistently fueling generations with the raw materials needed to grow, recover, and remain strong well into old age. When you choose these time-tested and natural foods, you are aligning yourself with the blueprint of human biology, not with the marketing of the supplement industry. The reason whole foods work so well is that they deliver balance. Protein powders, even if they contain the right amino acids, are stripped of the cofactors that the body relies on to use those amino acids effectively. Imagine trying to start a car engine with fuel but no spark plugs. It won't run. In the same way, amino acids alone are not enough. They need the vitamins that activate enzymes, the minerals that stabilize structures, and the fats that form cell membranes and hormone backbones. When all these components come together in a single food, the body recognizes it as complete fuel, digests it efficiently, and directs it toward building and repairing tissues. This natural completeness is why whole foods consistently outperform artificial supplements, no matter how advanced or convenient those supplements may appear. Another advantage of time-tested foods is sustainability. Muscle building and the prevention of sarcopenia are not short-term goals. They require consistent, long-term nourishment. Powders may be used for a few weeks or months, but few people sustain them for life. And those who try often face digestive problems, nutrient imbalances, or diminishing results. Whole foods, however, can be enjoyed daily for decades without harm. They are sustainable because they are meals, not just products. You can prepare them in countless ways. They provide satisfaction, and they fit naturally into cultural traditions around eating. This matters because diet is not just about nutrients, it's about habits, enjoyment, and lifestyle. Foods that are sustainable are the ones people stick with, and consistency is what ultimately preserves muscle and vitality through the years. The natural aspect of these foods also means they are free of the hidden downsides that often come with processed powders. Protein powders frequently contain additives, flavorings, artificial sweeteners, and emulsifiers. These ingredients may not be listed as harmful, but over time, they burden the liver, irritate the gut, and promote low-grade inflammation. All of these interfere with the very goal you are chasing, muscle repair and preservation. Whole foods, by contrast, are recognized by the body as real nourishment. They are broken down cleanly, used efficiently, and leave behind no artificial residues. The body is far more comfortable and capable when it is fueled by the foods it has adapted to over millennia, not by products created in recent decades. There is also a psychological and emotional dimension. Eating real food connects you to the act of nourishing yourself. it engages the senses, taste, texture, aroma, in ways that powders cannot. This satisfaction helps regulate appetite, ensuring that you eat enough to support muscle without constantly feeling deprived or relying on willpower. When food satisfies deeply, you are less likely to overeat empty calories and more likely to stick with nutrient-dense meals. For older adults especially, appetite often declines, making each meal more important. A small, nutrient-rich portion of real food can deliver far more muscle, building benefit than a large, unsatisfying shake. By choosing natural foods, you are not only feeding your body, but also reinforcing the natural rhythm of eating that sustains health on every level. One of the most overlooked aspects of time-tested foods is their versatility. They can be consumed at any meal, combined with vegetables, healthy fats, and spices to create a complete plate that nourishes not only muscles, but the entire body. This versatility means you are never just consuming protein. You are creating meals that provide antioxidants, fiber, and phytonutrients alongside amino acids. All of these contribute to reducing inflammation, stabilizing blood sugar, and supporting overall health. Sarcopenia does not happen in isolation. It is often part of a bigger picture that includes metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, and chronic disease. Whole foods protect against all of these simultaneously, making them far more powerful than powders that target only one aspect of nutrition. It is also worth noting that time-tested foods carry with them a cultural wisdom. Around the world, traditional diets have always emphasized nutrient-dense proteins as cornerstones of strength. From eggs and fish in coastal societies to lamb and beef in pastoral cultures, these foods were seen as life-giving, not optional. Elders were often given priority access to these foods because communities understood long before modern science that maintaining strength in older age was crucial for survival. These traditions reflect a deep recognition of the link between whole food protein and vitality. When you choose these foods today, you are tapping into that accumulated wisdom, supported now by modern research confirming what ancestral cultures already knew. Another unique benefit of these natural foods is their impact on longevity. Muscle mass is not just about physical performance. It is a predictor of lifespan. Studies consistently show that people with higher muscle mass and strength live longer, healthier lives. The foods that best preserve muscle are not quick, fix supplements, but whole foods that nourish every system of the body. By relying on them, you are not only protecting your muscles from sarcopenia, but also protecting your brain, your heart, and your immune system. This holistic benefit is why whole foods are so irreplaceable. They provide integrated health, not isolated support. Think of the difference over decades. Someone who relies on powders may maintain muscle for a short while, but over time they face nutrient deficiencies, gut irritation, and inconsistent results. Someone who builds their meals around whole, nutrient-rich proteins gets stronger bones from the minerals, sharper nerves from the B vitamins, healthier joints from the collagen, and stable hormones from the natural fats. The compounding effect of these benefits over 10, 20, or 30 years is profound. One path leads to fragility masked temporarily by supplements. The other leads to resilience sustained naturally over a lifetime. When we call these foods time-tested and natural, we are acknowledging that they are not a trend. They are not subject to the ups and downs of the supplement market, where one year whey is king, the next year it's plant powders, and the year after that it's some new lab-made protein. These foods do not need rebranding because their results are self-evident. They have worked for countless generations and will continue to work because they align with how the human body is built. They are timeless solutions in a world obsessed with novelty. In the end, The decision comes down to whether you want to build your health on something temporary or something permanent. Whey protein and similar powders may offer convenience, but they cannot offer the completeness, balance, sustainability, or historical proof of real, whole foods. By choosing the foods that nature designed, you are not only fighting sarcopenia, you are honoring the way your body was meant to be fueled. You are choosing strength that lasts, vitality that endures, and health that does not depend on products but on principles. That is the true power of time-tested natural nutrition, and that is why this food is unmatched when it comes to building muscle and protecting against the loss that comes with age.